My husband drove a syringe into my arm, while his nurse mistress stood behind him wearing the silver dress meant for my seat at the Hartwell Medical Center gala. "Evelyn is having another episode," Nathan announced to the staff outside the suite, loud enough for the donors in the hallway to hear. Even as I told him I had not consented to any medication. By the time the sedative began burning through my vein, Leah Mercer was already holding my place card in one hand and my husband's arm in the other. They believed I would wake hours later in a locked observation room, confused, ashamed, and unable to prove what had happened. That was what had happened in my first life. This time, I let my wedding ring slide from my finger and land beside the uncapped vial on the medication tray. Not because the ring mattered, because the tray was directly beneath the ceiling camera outside the open suite door. I twisted my phone toward me with the last of my strength. The recording icon was still glowing. Red. Nathan reached for it. I pressed the hospital emergency contact button first. "My name is Evelyn Hartcross," I said, forcing each word through a tongue that was already becoming heavy. "I was injected with a sedative after refusing consent. Seal the founder's suite. Preserve the medication tray. Send an emergency physician, hospital compliance, and security." Nathan's face changed. Leah stopped smiling. Then I called the one person Nathan had spent 3 years convincing me would never believe. Me over him, my father, Dr. Samuel Hart, director of the hospital. "Dad," I whispered when he answered. "Come upstairs." Nathan grabbed my wrist. I looked straight at him as the room tilted. "And bring the police." I woke to the sound of Nathan fastening his cuff links for several seconds. I did not move. The ceiling above me was cream-colored, crossed by a narrow band of recessed lighting. A framed photograph of the original Hartwell Medical Center hung opposite the sofa. On the table beside my hand sat a half-finished glass of sparkling water, a gala program, and a silver place card stamped with my name, Evelyn Hartcross, founding trustee. My fingers began to tremble. I knew this room, the founder suite, occupied the top floor of the hospital's conference wing. My father used it before major donor events. My mother had selected the furniture before she died. Nathan and I had prepared for the hospital's 7th to 5th anniversary gala here. This was the last room in which anyone had believed I was sane. Nathan glanced at me through the mirror. "You fell asleep." His voice was exactly as I remembered it, warm enough to sound concerned, flat enough to conceal impatience. I looked at the date displayed on the gala program, October 14th, 8 months before my death. My chest tightened, but I did not scream. I remembered the previous version of that night in fragments. Nathan telling me my hands were shaking. Leah appearing with a syringe. My refusal. The pressure of Nathan's fingers around my arm. The ceiling lights smearing into white lines. Waking in a private observation room with a psychiatric consultation order attached to my chart. Nathan telling my father that I had become paranoid about his relationship with Leah. Leah standing near the bed wearing the silver dress Nathan had once said made me look like moonlight. The board voting without me. My temporary proxy transferring to my husband. My father asking why I had not told him I was abusing sedatives. I had told him he had believed the medical record instead. For the next 8 months, Nathan had turned every protest into a symptom. Anger became instability. Fear became paranoia. Evidence became obsession. When I finally found the messages between him and Leah, he had said I was too agitated to be left alone. The last thing I remembered from my first life was another needle, then the edge of the staircase, then nothing. Evelyn. Nathan turned from the mirror. He was handsome in the clean, reassuring way. Patience. Trusted immediately. Dark hair, calm gray eyes, a surgeon's posture. He wore the midnight blue tuxedo I had ordered for him, and the watch my father had given him after his first successful transplant procedure. In my first life, the sight of him had still softened me. Now I saw the man who had watched me lose consciousness and called it treatment. "What time is it?" I asked. "For 17. The gala began at 6 o'clock. Nathan studied my face. "You look pale." "I was sleeping. You were breathing too. Quickly before you fell asleep, I was reading. You said the donor list made you anxious." I said 2 names were misspelled. His mouth tightened. It was a tiny movement. Most people would not have noticed. I had spent 7 years learning to notice. Nathan picked up his jacket from the back of a chair. We do not have time for this tonight. For what? For you to make everything difficult. There it was not concern preparation. I lowered my gaze to the phone beside me. It was connected to the hospital's guest network. In my first life, Nathan had taken it after the injection. When I woke, several messages had been deleted, and my shared location history showed that I had never left the suite willingly. This time I opened the settings. Nathan was still speaking. My presentation is important. The Cardiac Innovation Wing has taken 3 years of work. There will be press, board members, state officials, and donors downstairs. I need you calm. I turned off shared location. Then I removed Nathan from my emergency access list. He did not notice. What exactly are you worried I might do? I asked. He gave a tired laugh. Please do not start. I asked a question. You have spent 2 weeks interrogating me about Yela. I asked why your nurse sent you a photograph from a hotel room at midnight. It was a conference hotel. She was in a robe. She had spilled coffee on her clothes. And you deleted the message. Because I knew you would react like this. The logic had once trapped me. He concealed evidence because I was suspicious. My suspicion then proved I was unstable. Every door led back to the conclusion he had chosen. I opened the cloud backup menu and began uploading my recent messages and photographs to a private account Nathan did not know existed. He stepped closer. What are you doing? Checking the gala schedule. You should put the phone away. I looked up. Why? His expression softened, but his eyes did not. Because you need to rest. A knock sounded at the suite door. Nathan opened it before I could respond. Leah Mercer entered carrying a black medical pouch. She was not yet wearing the silver dress. She wore navy scrubs under a long coat, her blonde hair pinned neatly at the back of her head. To anyone passing in the hall, she would have looked like a nurse making a routine visit. She closed the door behind her. I brought what you asked for, she said. Her gaze moved to me for one instant. Surprise crossed her face. You are awake, I noticed, I said. Nathan ignored the comment. Did anyone see you come up? A transport aide. I told him. Dr. Cross needed supplies for a donor who felt faint. I am not a donor, I said. Leah smiled. No, you are the director's daughter. The contempt was slight but unmistakable. Nathan took the medical pouch from her. What is in that bag? I asked. Something to help you relax. I did not ask for medication. You asked me downstairs if there was anything that could stop your hands shaking. I asked whether I should eat. Nathan unzipped the pouch inside lay. Alcohol wipes, gauze, a syringe, and a small vial. My pulse quickened. I remembered the label from my first life, although I had only seen it for a second. Midazolam, a sedative commonly used before procedures, not a treatment for an inconvenient wife. I placed my phone face down on the table and activated the voice recorder with my thumb. I do not consent to an injection, I said clearly. Leah looked at Nathan. He did not answer immediately. Then he lowered his voice. Evelyn, you are escalating. I am refusing medication. You are demonstrating the exact behavior I am concerned about. What diagnosis are you treating? This is not a courtroom. No, it is a hospital. That makes informed consent more important, not less. Leah crossed her arms. You have been accusing him for days. You barely sleep. You follow his schedule. You call the operating room during cases. I called once because my husband had not come home for 36 hours. He was saving a patient. He was in your apartment. Silence. Ila's face lost color. Nathan set the vial on the tray. That is enough. Is it true? I asked. Were you in her apartment? He moved toward me. You are going to sit down. I am already sitting. You are going to let me help you. I said no. His hand closed around my upper arm. The memory of the staircase flashed through me for one terrible second. My body forgot that this was a different night. I felt the impact again, the inability to breathe. Nathan's blurred face above me. Pulled away. Do not touch me. Nathan's grip tightened. Leah stepped to my other side. Stop fighting him, she said. You are making this worse. I am not fighting. I am withdrawing consent. Nathan's jaw clenched. You will thank me when you wake up. The words were so close to what he had said in my first life that my fear became cold, not smaller, useful. I shifted my left hand toward the edge of the medication tray. The suite door remained slightly open behind Leia. A security camera covered the hallway. It could not see the center of the room, but it could see the door, the people entering, and anything positioned near the threshold. Leia, I said, where did that medication come from? Her eyes moved to the pouch. Nathan answered for her. Hospital stock. Under whose order? Mine. Entered for which patient you? There is no active chart for me. There will be. That was the sentence I needed. I pulled hard enough to force Nathan to adjust his grip. At the same moment, I pushed the tray toward the open doorway. Metal legs scraped across the floor. The camera above the hall now had a clear view of the vial syringe and Nathan's hand around my arm. Leia lunged for the door. I raised my voice. I do not consent. Nathan pressed me back into the sofa. Leia caught my wrist. The needle entered my arm. The pain was small. The betrayal was not. Nathan depressed the plunger while I stared at him. He did not look angry. He looked relieved, as though the hardest part of the evening was over. Leia released me first. There, she said, it is done. My wedding ring felt suddenly heavy. I pulled it off and let it fall onto the tray beside the vial. Nathan removed the needle. You should have trusted me. My fingers were already losing precision. I reached for my phone. He saw the movement. What are you doing? I pressed the emergency contact button. The hospital operator answered. My name is Evelyn Hartcross. I said I was injected with a sedative after refusing consent. Seal the founder's suite. Preserve the medication tray. Send an emergency physician. Hospital compliance and security. Nathan snatched for the phone. I turned away and held it against my chest. Leia moved toward the tray. Do not touch that, I said. The words came out slower than I intended. Nathan's voice changed. She is confused. I am Dr. Nathan Cross. My wife is experiencing an acute psychiatric episode. The operator hesitated. I had expected that. Call Dr. Samuel Hart, I said. Tell him. There may be an unauthorized controlled medication administration in the conference wing. Tell him the requesting party is a founding trustee. Leia's composure cracked. Nathan. He ignored her. Evelyn, give me the phone. I pressed my father's name. He answered on the second ring. I was about to come upstairs. He said, Are you ready, Dad? Come to the founder's suite. My tongue felt thick. What happened? Nathan injected me. I refused consent. Silence. Nathan reached for the phone again. I curled over it. Bring compliance, I said. Bring security and call the police. Evelyn. Nathan snapped. My father's voice became hard. I am on my way. The call ended. Nathan stepped back for the first time since I had known him. He looked uncertain. Leia grabbed the medical pouch. We should go. No, Nathan said. Leaving makes this look worse. It is worse. We document an acute panic episode. She requested medication. She became confused after administration. I recorded you, I said. Both of them turned toward me. Nathan's gaze dropped to the phone. You recorded a private medical interaction without permission. I recorded my husband assaulting me. He laughed once, but there was no humor in it. You are sedated. You have no idea what you recorded. Then you should not be worried. Footsteps approached in the hallway. Nathan moved quickly. He picked up the vial. I caught the edge of the tray and pulled it toward me. The metal struck the sofa. The vial slipped from his fingers and rolled beneath the table. Leia knelt to retrieve it. My father entered before she could reach it. He was still wearing his white dinner jacket. Behind him came the hospital's compliance director, 2 security officers, and Dr. Hannah Cole from the emergency department. My father took in the scene. Me on the sofa, Nathan standing over me with an empty syringe. Leia on her knees beside the medication tray, the open medical pouch, the vial beneath the table. What happened? He asked. Nathan spoke first. Evelyn had a severe panic reaction. She asked for something to calm her down, then became combative after I administered it. I said no. I replied. My father looked at me. My vision was narrowing, but I held his gaze. I said it 3 times. Nathan lifted his hands. She has been paranoid and sleep-deprived for weeks. Dr. Cole stepped past him. What was administered? A small dose of midazolam root. Intramuscular. Order number. Nathan did not answer. Dr. Cole's expression sharpened. Where is the order? I had not entered it yet. This was urgent. What emergency indication? Acute agitation with risk of escalation. I was sitting on a sofa, I said. Leia stood. She was threatening him. What threat? My father asked. Leia looked at Nathan. I answered. I asked whether they were having an affair. No one spoke. The first wave of medication reached deeper into my body. My head fell back against the sofa. Dr. Cole knelt in front of me and checked my pupils. Evelyn, stay with me. I need blood drawn. We will take care of you. Independent toxicology. Chain of custody. Police present. Nathan exiled sharply. This is absurd. Dr. Cole looked at him. No, it is specific. My father bent to pick up the vial with a gloved hand offered by security. Seal the room, he said. Nathan stared at him. Samuel, you are not seriously treating this as an assault. I am treating it as a reported non-consensual drug administration inside my hospital. I am your chief cardiac surgeon. You are also the person holding the syringe. Leia moved toward the doorway. A security officer blocked her path. My father turned to the compliance director. Call outside counsel. Notify the board chair. Neither I nor anyone who reports directly to me will conduct the primary investigation. Nathan's confidence returned slightly. Good. Because your daughter is using your position to destroy me. My father looked at me again in my first life. He had looked confused tonight. He looked frightened. Not for the hospital, for me. Dr. Cole placed an oxygen monitor on my finger. We need to move her to the emergency department. No private observation room. I said, Evelyn, save your strength. No psychiatric chart. No husband authorization. Nathan stepped closer. I am her spouse. I forced my eyes open. Not my decision maker. My father's gaze shifted to Nathan. Do not touch her. The words were quiet. Nathan stopped as the medical team transferred me to a stretcher. I heard music rising from the ballroom below. Hundreds of guests were arriving. Photographers were gathering at the entrance. The board presentation would begin in less than an hour. In my first life, Nathan had gone downstairs without me. Leia had changed into the silver dress and taken my seat. They had announced the Cardiac Innovation Wing together while I slept under a false psychiatric note. This time I kept my hand around my phone as the stretcher entered the elevator. Dr. Cole followed. My father remained in the suite. The doors began to close. Dad, I said. He stepped toward me. Do not cancel the gala. His eyebrows lifted. Evelyn, you were just drugged. I know. You need treatment. I am getting it. What are you asking me to do? Let them go downstairs. Nathan looked at me from behind the security officer. I watched him understand. You want a scene? He said no. I replied, you planned one. The elevator doors closed in the emergency department. Dr. Cole assigned a nurse who had never worked with Nathan's surgical team. She documented my mental status before drawing blood. A police officer arrived to witness the sealing of the toxicology samples. The compliance director photographed the injection site, the medication tray, and the contents of the pouch. I repeated my statement while the drug still slowed my speech. Every refusal, every touch, every word. When I finished, the officer asked whether I wanted to make a formal complaint. Yes. Against whom? Dr. Nathan Cross and Nurse Leia Mercer. The nurse beside me paused for half a second. Then she continued labeling the specimen tube. An hour later I could sit upright. Although the room still shifted when I moved too quickly, my father entered the treatment bay. The board chair has placed Nathan and Leia on immediate administrative leave pending review. He said security has restricted their access. Are they still downstairs? Nathan is and Leia. She changed clothes. I knew what that meant. The silver dress. My father looked confused. How did you know? Because I had watched her wear it while Nathan explained to donors that I had suffered a breakdown. Where is she? In a private room near the ballroom. She says she was scheduled to help present the nursing component of the new program. She was not. I know. Does the board? They will. I removed the monitor from my finger. Dr. Cole appeared at the curtain. You are not leaving. I am going downstairs. You still have an active sedative in your system. I will use a wheelchair. That is not what I meant. I need the drug level documented. I need the chart finalized. Then I need to be seen. My father shook his head. You do not owe anyone a performance. This is not a performance. I looked down at the faint bruise forming around the injection site. If I disappear tonight, Nathan controls the explanation before the evidence exists. He will tell every person in that ballroom that I became unstable. By morning, the story will be stronger than the truth. Dr. Cole crossed her arms. You may speak for 5 minutes. You remain in the wheelchair. A nurse stays with you. Agreed. My father still looked uncertain. I met his eyes. In my entire marriage, every time Nathan spoke first, you believed him longer than you believed me. Pain moved across his face. This is not the time. It is exactly the time. He lowered his gaze. I will not make that mistake tonight. Then take me downstairs. The ballroom doors were closed when we arrived through them. I heard applause. A staff member opened one side. Warm light spilled into the corridor. Nathan stood on the stage beside a digital rendering of the new Cardiac Innovation Wing. He had changed nothing about his appearance. His tuxedo remained perfect. His voice remained steady. Leia stood 3 foot behind him in my silver dress. My place card rested at the head table beside her hand. Nathan was speaking about trust. Our work depends on the belief that expertise must be allowed to act decisively. He told the room in moments of crisis. Hesitation can cost lives. I almost laughed. My father pushed the wheelchair through the doorway. The applause faded in sections. First the people nearest us, then the donors at the center tables, then the board members facing the entrance. Nathan saw me. His next word died in his throat. Leia turned. Her hand left my chair. My father stopped the wheelchair in the center aisle. I took the microphone offered by the event coordinator. My fingers shook, but not from fear. My husband is correct about one thing. I said, trust matters in medicine. Nathan stepped forward. Evelyn, you should be resting. I was resting. Then you injected me. A murmur moved through the room. He gave the audience a pained smile. My wife experienced a medical episode before the gala. This is not the appropriate place to discuss private health information. You made it public when you told hospital staff I was unstable. I was protecting you. I refused the medication. Leia moved toward the side stairs. 2 security officers entered and waited near the exit. I continued. A formal complaint has been filed. The medication, syringe, room access logs, and toxicology samples have been preserved. An outside investigation will begin tonight. Nathan's face hardened. You are using your father's authority to retaliate against me because you are jealous of a colleague. I looked at Leia. She was wearing my dress standing beside my husband at the presentation I had helped fund. Then I looked back at him. Thank you for identifying the colleague. Several people turned toward her. Yela's face flushed. Nathan descended 1 step from the stage. I have documentation showing that you requested treatment. My father spoke for the first time. Do you? Nathan reached into his jacket and removed his phone. A record appeared on the large presentation screen behind him. Patient Evelyn Heart Cross medication request. Midazolam as needed for acute anxiety. Consent status electronically signed. My name appeared at the bottom. A timestamp showed that I had signed. 20 minutes before the injection. The room shifted again, but this time it was not the drug. I had never seen that document. Nathan studied my face for the first time that evening. He smiled. You consented? He said. I looked at the screen. Below the medication authorization was a second section. Temporary spousal medical authority in the event of impaired decision-making granted to Dr. Nathan Cross. He had not only prepared to sedate me, he had prepared to own every word I said afterward. I lifted the microphone. That signature is forged. Nathan's smile remained. Then prove it. I looked at my father, then at the board, then at the man I had once trusted with my life. I will by sunrise. Nathan's version of the night had already reached the press. The first article appeared on a local medical news site at 6:43 in the morning. Hospital director's daughter disrupts Scala after private health incident. The article described Nathan as a celebrated surgeon placed on leave after an emotionally charged marital dispute. It referred to Leah as a respected nurse and clinical collaborator. It mentioned my father's position 4 times. It did not mention the toxicology sample. It did not mention my refusal. It did not mention the syringe at 7:12. Another site published a photograph of me in the wheelchair. My face looked pale. My eyes were half open. Nathan stood in the background, perfectly composed. The caption read, "Heiress confronts surgeon husband during apparent breakdown." I stared at the image from the guest bedroom of my old apartment. The apartment had belonged to me before the marriage. It occupied the 8th floor of a quiet building across the river from the hospital. Nathan had always disliked it. He called it small. Although it had 2 bedrooms and more than enough space for one person, he preferred our glass-walled house in Westbridge where every room had been chosen to impress someone else. I had gone there after leaving the emergency department at 3 o'clock in the morning before sleeping. I had changed the access codes at 7:30. Nathan tried to enter the building. Concierge called me. "Dr. Cross says he lives here." "He does not. He says you are medically impaired." "I am not. He is asking us to call your father." "Do not call anyone. Tell him to contact my attorney." "I do not have your attorney's information." "You will in 5 minutes." I called Naomi Sloan. Naomi and I had attended law school together. She specialized in healthcare litigation and professional misconduct cases. We had once been close, but Nathan disliked her. He said she encouraged me to see conflict where there was none. After our wedding, I saw her less. Isolation rarely began with a locked door. Sometimes it began with a husband saying, "Your friend does not respect our marriage." Naomi answered with a rough voice, "Evelyn, I need a lawyer." She became fully awake. "What happened?" "My husband injected me with my Daslim after I refused." Silence. "Where are you?" "My apartment." "Is he there?" "In the lobby." "Do not open the door." "I was not planning to." "Have you contacted police?" "Yes." "Medical records." "Preservation request is in progress." "Drug evidence sealed." "Witnesses." "My father." "Compliance." "Security." "An emergency physician." "2 nurses and approximately 400 gala guests." Naomi exhaled. "You have been busy." "I learned from losing." "What does that mean?" "Nothing I can explain yet." "All right, I am coming." Over an hour later, Naomi stood in my kitchen reading the preliminary incident report. She wore black trousers, a gray sweater, and the expression of someone trying not to commit a second crime. While reviewing the first, he injected his own wife in a conference suite without an order. She said yes. "After you refused." "Yes." "With his alleged mistress present." "Yes." "And then produced an electronic consent form giving him temporary authority over you." "Yes." Naomi looked up. "Evelyn, this is not a difficult marriage. I know this is assault, potential drug diversion, record falsification, and a conflict of interest disaster. I know. Do you?" Her voice softened. "Because 6 months ago, you called me and asked whether it was unreasonable to feel hurt when Nathan spent your anniversary in Leia's apartment. I looked away. You told me to leave. I told you to document everything and stay somewhere safe. I deleted the messages after he apologized." Naomi closed the report. "Are you going back?" "No." The answer came without effort. She watched me for several seconds. "Good." We spent the morning separating my life from Nathan's reach. I revoked his access to my medical portal. I removed him as beneficiary from accounts I could legally change without notice. I froze our shared credit line after downloading the complete transaction history. I canceled the automatic transfer that paid his mother's mortgage. I revoked the limited hospital proxy I had signed 2 years earlier, which allowed him to cast my vote if I was traveling or medically unavailable. That document had once seemed practical. Now I understood why he had repeatedly encouraged me to renew it. At 11, my bank called Dr. Cross attempted to move $200,000 from the joint investment account, the representative said. Was he successful? No. The account was frozen 23 minutes earlier. My hand tightened around the phone. What reason did he give? He indicated there was a family medical emergency. Document the request. We already have. After the call, Naomi slid a legal pad toward me. Divorce? Yes. Immediately? Yes. Any possibility of reconciliation? No. She wrote something down. You did not hesitate. I did that in my first life. Naomi looked up, but I did not explain. At noon, the toxicology report arrived through the independent laboratory. My Daslim was present in my blood at a level consistent with recent administration. No other sedatives were detected. My medical record contained no valid physician order entered before the injection. The electronic consent document existed, but its audit history showed it had been created from a tablet associated with my account. The tablet was registered to our house. Nathan called at 12:18. Naomi placed the phone on the kitchen counter. You do not have to answer. I want to hear what he says. I turned on speaker mode. Evelyn. His voice sounded exhausted, not frightened, not remorseful, inconvenienced. You locked me out of the apartment. It is my apartment. We are married. That did not give you permission to enter before. Certainly does not now. You are making decisions while under the influence of medication. The medication has cleared. You are not thinking rationally. I filed a police report before the dose cleared. He was quiet. Then he lowered his voice. We need to stop this before it becomes permanent. You injected me. You were spiraling. I refused. You were not capable of assessing your condition. Who determined that? I did as my husband or as my physician. Another silence. You are twisting everything. No, I am separating the roles you used to control me. I was trying to protect you from humiliating yourself. You brought your mistress into the room. Yela is not my mistress. She changed into my dress and took my seat. She was presenting the nursing portion of the program. She was wearing jewelry I bought. That is irrelevant. It is evidence of familiarity. You sound like a prosecutor. I am a lawyer. You are my wife. Not for much longer. His breath caught. It was the first honest reaction I heard from him. Do not say that. I filed this morning. You filed for divorce. Yes. Because I gave you medication. Because you believed you had the right to. Evelyn, listen to me. No, you are angry. Yes, you will calm down. I already am. That unsettled him more than shouting would have. Your father has suspended my privileges. He said patients are being reassigned. Reporters are outside the hospital. Years of work are at risk. You should have considered that before using hospital medication on your wife. This is exactly what I mean. You are punishing me. I did not suspend you. You called your father. I reported an assault. You knew what would happen. You knew who my father was when you put the needle in my arm. He was silent again. Then he said, come home. No, we need to speak privately. Everything relevant can go through my lawyer. I love you. The words once would have opened a door inside me. Now they sounded like another credential he expected me to accept without verification. You loved access to me. I said that is not true. You loved my father's hospital. You loved my introductions. You loved the house, the foundation, the donors, and the version of me who apologized whenever you hurt her. You are being cruel. I am being accurate. Leah means nothing. Then you risked everything for nothing. I ended the call. My hand shook after I set down the phone. Naomi did not pretend not to notice. Leaving can be the correct decision and still hurt. She said, I know. That afternoon, hospital compliance sent us the first access audit. Leah's badge had entered the surgical medication room at 3:32 on the day of the gala. There had been no scheduled cardiac procedure requiring my Daslim at that time. A vial had been removed under the account of a patient whose procedure had been cancelled that morning. The removal was co-signed electronically by Nathan at 4:08. Leia's badge entered the conference wing at 4:12. The tablet in our Westbridge house accessed my patient portal at 4:14. The consent form was created at 4:17. I woke. Someone had used my account from the house while Nathan and Leia were already at the hospital. Naomi pointed at the timestamps. Who else has access to the house? Cleaning staff, the security company, and Nathan's mother. Any cameras? Exterior only. Nathan said interior cameras made him feel watched. Naomi gave me a look. Of course, he did. The tablet itself was still at the house. Police obtained a warrant before Nathan could remove it. The device contained my saved password. It also contained a fingerprint login registered to someone identified only as user 2. I knew whose finger it was. 3 months earlier, Leia had come to our house after Nathan claimed she needed help preparing a presentation. I had found her in the kitchen using my tablet. She said Nathan had given her permission. I had changed the passcode. I had not known he added her fingerprint afterward at 5. I received an invitation from Monica Cross family dinner. 7 o'clock. We need to handle this privately. Naomi read the message. You are not going. I am. Why? Because Monica has spent 6 years pretending the money I give her is Nathan's. This is not the night to prove a point. It is the night to close an account. Monica's house stood in a gated development north of the city. I had paid the down payment. I had also paid the mortgage for the last 4 years after Nathan told me his mother's retirement income was insufficient. Monica thanked her son each Christmas for taking care of his family. She never thanked me. When Naomi and I entered the dining room, Nathan was already seated at the table. Leia was not there. Monica stood beside him wearing pearls I had given her. This is a family matter, she said when she saw Naomi. Naomi is my attorney. Monica's lips tightened. We do not need attorneys at dinner. You invited me to discuss an active criminal complaint. I invited you to save your marriage. Nathan rose. You should not have come with her. I should not have come at all. I sat opposite him. Monica remained standing. You embarrassed Nathan in front of the entire hospital. He injected me. He was helping you. I refused. You have always been sensitive. Naomi placed a folder on the table. Monica ignored it. Marriage requires grace. Evelyn. Men under pressure sometimes make mistakes. Is sleeping with a nurse a mistake or part of the pressure? Nathan's hand struck the table. I did not sleep with Leia. Monica flinched. I did not then unlock your hotel records. His face changed. You have no right to invade my privacy. You used our joint account to pay for the room. That was a conference expense for a conference held 12 miles from our house. Monica sat slowly. Nathan. He looked at his mother. This is not relevant to the medication incident. I almost admired the precision. He had stopped denying everything at once. Now he divided the truth into pieces and defended only the one currently under examination. I opened my handbag first. I placed my wedding ring on the table, then the preliminary toxicology report, then the divorce petition, then a printed list of every payment I had made toward Monica's house, car, insurance, vacations, and private club membership. Monica stared at the pages. What is this? The end of my financial support. She looked at Nathan. He did not meet her eyes. You cannot stop paying the mortgage, she said. I did this morning. The payment is due next week. Yes, you promised to take care of me. Your son promised. I paid. Monica's face reened. This is vindictive. No, vindictive would be taking the house. I am simply no longer funding people who helped my husband convince me that his betrayal was my illness. I never helped him do anything. You called me hysterical when I asked why Leia had a key to my home. She worked with him. You told me successful men needed women who understood sacrifice. That is true. Then you can sacrifice your club membership. Nathan stood. Enough. I looked at him. No, enough was yesterday. You are not thinking about the consequences. I have thought about them for longer than you know. If you continue, the hospital may terminate me. That decision belongs to the investigation. My license could be reviewed. That belongs to the medical board. My reputation is already being destroyed. That belongs to your actions. What about us? That belongs to me. He walked around the table. Naomi rose, but I held up one hand. Nathan stopped several feet away. You are willing to throw away 7 years, he said. You threw them away one injection at a time. One injection. It was not the first time you used medicine to make my reactions easier for you. His eyes narrowed. I prescribed sleep medication when you were grieving. Your mother, you doubled it after I questioned your hotel charges. You asked for help sleeping. I asked for honesty. Monica whispered. Nathan, what is she talking about? He ignored her. You are creating a pattern that does not exist. I downloaded my complete medical record. For the first time, he looked afraid. I continued, 18 months ago. A note appeared stating that I showed obsessive jealousy and emotional dysregulation. You did? Who evaluated me? I documented spousal observations. In my medical chart, you were my patient. I was never formally under your care. You asked me for advice. You turned marital arguments into symptoms. I recorded clinically relevant information. You created a patient you could control. His face went still. The sentence landed harder than anger. Naomi slid the folder toward him. Dr. Cross, all future communication should go through counsel. Nathan did not look at her. You think your father will protect you forever? He said to me. No, I stood. That is why I am building a case that does not need him. Monica picked up the payment list. What am I supposed to do about the mortgage? Ask your son. He has been suspended. Then perhaps he should not have risked his career to drug his wife. I turned toward the door. Nathan followed me into the hallway. Evelyn, I kept walking. He caught my elbow. My body reacted before my mind did. I pulled away so violently that my shoulder struck the wall. Naomi stepped between us. Touch her again and I call the police. Nathan lifted both hands. I was trying to stop her. That sentence is becoming a habit. I said, his face twisted. You cannot erase me from your life in one day. No, you spent years erasing yourself outside. The night air felt clean. I sat in Naomi's car until the shaking passed the next morning. The hospital released my complete audit record. Nathan had entered 7 separate notes into my chart over 18 months. Anxiety regarding spouse, paranoid focused on alleged infidelity, difficulty regulating emotional responses, possible misuse of prescribed sleep medication. No independent physician had evaluated those claims. No psychiatrist had diagnosed me. The notes existed because Nathan had written them. My husband had not merely told people I was unstable. He had built a medical history that could testify against me by noon. His attorneys issued a statement. Dr. Nathan Cross acted in good faith during a medical emergency involving his wife who has a documented history of acute anxiety and medication-related concerns. The current action is being influenced by a family member with authority. Ver the hospital. Dr. Cross looks forward to an independent review. The statement did exactly what it was designed to do. It transformed evidence into family drama. It transformed his power into victimhood. It transformed my father's position into proof that I could not be believed. Reporters began waiting outside my apartment. One shouted, "Did you threaten to destroy your husband's career because of jealousy?" Another asked, "Have you been treated for substance misuse?" I did not answer. Instead, Naomi and I returned to the digital archive recovered from the house tablet. Most recent files were ordinary tax records, travel confirmations, gala schedules. Then I found a folder labeled contingency. Inside was a draft petition for temporary guardianship. The proposed protected person was me. The stated grounds included acute psychiatric instability, medication misuse, paranoid fixation on marital infidelity, and impaired judgment regarding major financial and institutional decisions. The proposed temporary guardian was Nathan. Attached was a document transferring my founding trust vote to him during any period in which I was medically unable to serve. My electronic signature appeared at the bottom. The document had not yet been filed. It had been prepared. Naomi read it twice. He was going to have you declared impaired. He was going to use his own chart notes as evidence. He needed another physician. He had one who, I scrolled through the draft attachments. A supporting assessment had been prepared under the name of a psychiatrist who consulted at Hartwell twice a week. The signature line was blank. Naomi's mouth tightened. We need to contact her before Nathan does. My phone vibrated. A new batch of recovered messages appeared from the tablet backup. The conversation was between Nathan and Leah. Leah, will she be asleep before the presentation? Nathan, she should be out for at least 4 hours. Leah, and if she fights you, Nathan, her chart supports intervention. Leah, Samuel may ask questions. Nathan, he will see the consent form and the symptoms. He trusts documentation. Leah, what about the vote? Nathan, her proxy activates if she is medically unavailable. LLA. Then after the gala, she stays in observation. Nathan, yes, Lila. And I stand beside you, Nathan, where you should have been from the beginning. The final message had been sent 2 hours before the injection. Leah, once she is out, I take her seat. Nathan, once she is out, everything moves forward. I read the words until the screen blurred. Not because I was surprised, because in my first life it had worked. This time Naomi printed every page. She placed them beside the guardianship draft. This was never about calming you down. She said, no, it was about removing you. I looked at the photograph of Leah in my dress. Then at the signature. They had stolen. They wanted me alive, I said. As long as I was silent, the independent hearing began 9 days after the gala. My father did not sit on the panel at my request. He did not enter the hearing room until he was called as a witness. The panel consisted of an outside healthcare attorney, a retired judge, a physician from another medical system, a nursing ethics specialist, and a representative from the state patient safety office. Nathan arrived with 3 attorneys. Leah arrived with 1. I arrived with Naomi and a cardboard box containing copies of every document they had used to turn my marriage into a diagnosis. The hearing room had no windows. A long table divided the parties. 2 cameras recorded the proceedings for regulators. No reporters were permitted inside, but dozens waited beyond the hospital entrance. Nathan sat across from me. He had lost weight. The change would have made me feel guilty once. Now I recognized it as information, not obligation. His attorney began by describing the gala as a rapidly developing medical event. Dr. Cross observed tremors, rapid breathing, agitation, accusatory speech, and impaired judgment in his wife. She said he believed immediate intervention was necessary to prevent harm. The outside physician leaned forward. What harm? Nathan answered. She was threatening to confront hospital staff and donors. That is social embarrassment, the physician said. Not a medical emergency. She was not herself. Did she attempt self-harm? No. Did she threaten physical harm? To another person. She was verbally aggressive. What did she say? Nathan looked at me. She accused me of having an affair. The retired judge made a note. And were you having an affair? Nathan's attorney objected. The judge raised one hand. This is not a courtroom counsel. We are evaluating whether Dr. Cross interpreted a marital accusation as psychiatric instability. The truth of the accusation is relevant. Nathan's expression remained controlled. No. Across the room, Leah looked down. The nursing ethics specialist turned to her. Nurse Mercer did. Mrs. Cross refused the injection. Leah swallowed. She was confused. That was not my question. She said she did not want it. How many times? I do not remember. I did. My recording remembered too. Naomi connected my phone to the room's audio system. My voice filled the hearing room. I do not consent to an injection. Nathan's voice followed. You are escalating. I am refusing medication. Later, do not touch me. Then I said no. Then the sound of the tray scraping across the floor. Then my final clear statement before the injection. I do not consent. The recording ended. No one spoke for several seconds. Nathan's attorney leaned toward him. The physician, painless, looked directly at Nathan. On what basis did you determine she lacked decision-making capacity? Her behavior capacity is decision-specific. She understood that a medication was being proposed. She asked what it was, why it was indicated, who ordered it, and where it came from. Those questions suggest comprehension. She was paranoid. She was correct that Nurse Mercer was involved in obtaining the drug. Nathan's face hardened. She was wrong about the nature of our relationship. Leah looked at him. It was the first crack between them. The panel moved to the toxicology findings. Dr. Hannah Cole testified that I had been alert, oriented, and able to explain what occurred when I reached the emergency department. She specifically requested an independent toxicology sample and chain of custody procedures. Dr. Cole said, "That is not consistent with global confusion." Could she still have been emotionally distressed? Nathan's attorney asked, of course. Could emotional distress impair judgment? It can. Then Dr. Cross's concern was not unreasonable. Dr. Cole's expression did not change. Concern does not create consent. Next came the pharmacy audit. A hospital pharmacist explained that the Metazlime vial had been removed under a canceled patient procedure. Leah's badge and access code were used. Nathan's electronic co-signature approved the removal. Leah's attorney spoke quickly. Nurse Mercer acted under the direction of a supervising physician. Nathan turned toward her. His attorney rose. Dr. Cross did not instruct Nurse Mercer to mislabel medication. Layla looked at Nathan fully. Why now? You told me which account to use. Do not speak, her attorney whispered. Nathan shook his head. I told you to obtain a standard emergency dose. I assumed you would follow policy. You said the canceled case would not be audited until Monday. The room changed. Nathan's attorney closed her eyes for half a second. The retired judge asked, Nurse Mercer, are you stating that Dr. Cross instructed you to conceal the removal? Leah looked at her attorney, then at Nathan. No, she said finally. I am saying he knew how I obtained it. Nathan leaned back. She is protecting herself. Leah laughed under her breath. So are you. Their loyalty had lasted exactly as long as their shared certainty that I would remain silent. The panel then reviewed the electronic consent form. A digital forensic specialist confirmed that it had been created from the tablet at my Westbridge house while I was physically present at the hospital. The tablet's second fingerprint profile belonged to Leah. She admitted using the device months earlier but denied creating the consent. Dr. Cross knew Mrs. Cross's password. Her attorney argued so did Nurse Mercer. Naomi replied her fingerprint was registered. Nathan's attorney said there is no proof of who physically touched the tablet. Not yet. Naomi said she placed a photograph on the screen. It came from the exterior security camera at my house at 4:06 on the afternoon of the gala. Monica Cross had entered using her key. At 4:21, she left carrying an envelope. My stomach turned. I had expected Nathan. I had expected Leah. I had not expected Monica. She was called that afternoon. When she entered the hearing room, she looked smaller than she had at the dinner table. Of the retired judge showed her the image. Why were you at the house? I was picking up documents for Nathan. What documents? I do not know. Did you use the tablet? No. The forensic specialist displayed the device activity. The tablet had unlocked through facial recognition at 412. My facial profile was the primary profile. Monica and I did not resemble each other, but the device had also been configured to unlock with a backup numerical passcode. Nathan knew it. Monica admitted he had given it to her. He told me Evelyn had forgotten to sign a medical form. She said, "What did you do?" The judge asked. He sent me instructions. Did you read the document? No. Did you apply Mrs. Cross's stored electronic signature? Monica began to cry. I thought it was for insurance. Nathan stared at her. Mother. She turned toward him. You said she knew. His attorney placed a hand on his arm. Monica continued, you said she was already at the hospital and did not want to come home. Stop talking. You told me to open the folder called contingency. The room became silent again. My mother-in-law had forged the form. Perhaps she had not understood every page. She had understood enough to know she was signing for me. Naomi asked, did Dr. Cross tell you the form granted him temporary medical authority? No. Did he tell you it was connected to a sedative? No. Did he ask you to retrieve other documents? Monica nodded. An envelope from his desk. What was inside? I did not look. Police later confirmed that the envelope contained a printed copy of the temporary guardianship petition. Nathan's plan had required more than a syringe. It required a wife whose objections could be described as symptoms, a mother willing to follow instructions, a nurse willing to steal medication, a hospital willing to trust a physician's notes more than a woman's voice, and a father who had already learned to doubt his daughter. The panel adjourned for the day outside. Reporters crowded the steps. Nathan's public relations team had released another statement while the hearing was underway. It accused my father of orchestrating a campaign to remove a surgeon who had challenged the hospital's leadership. A reporter shouted, "Mrs. Cross, is this about protecting patients or protecting your family's ownership?" Another called, "Did you tell your husband you would make sure he never operated again?" That question stopped me. Naomi touched my arm. "Keep walking." I turned toward the cameras. "Yes," I said. The crowd surged closer. Naomi's eyes widened. I continued. I told him that if he used drugs without consent and falsified medical records, I would make sure the conduct was reported to every appropriate authority. A reporter raised her microphone. "Do you deny threatening his career?" I warned him that actions have consequences. "Are you using your father's position?" I held up the toxicology report. "My father did not put this drug in my blood." The noise dropped. I requested an outside investigation because his position creates a conflict. I asked him to recuse himself. Evidence does not become false because my father has an office in the same building. I looked directly into the nearest camera. This is not a dispute about whether my husband still loves me. It is about whether a doctor can call a woman unstable, inject her after she refuses, and then use the symptoms caused by that drug as proof that she should not control her own life. For the first time, the reporters stopped shouting. Naomi guided me toward the car. "You just gave them the entire case in 2 sentences. She said, "I am tired of letting Nathan define the question." That evening, my father came to the apartment. He did not bring hospital documents. He brought a box of my mother's recipe cards, which had remained in his kitchen since her death. "I thought you might want these," he said. I let him in. We sat across from each other at the small dining table for several minutes. Neither of us spoke. Then he said, "I failed you." I looked at him. He did not add an excuse that made the words harder to dismiss. When I asked, "There are several options," his face tightened. "When you told me Nathan was using your medical history against you, I told you he was writing things in my chart. He said you had asked for informal treatment and you believed him. He was a physician. So was my husband. That was the problem." My father lowered his head. "I thought you were ashamed to admit you needed help." "I needed help." He looked up. "I needed someone to ask why my husband was the only person documenting my instability. I should have. You wanted him to be good." "Yes." "You wanted the brilliant surgeon you recruited to also be the man who loved your daughter." "Yes." "And when those 2 versions conflicted, you protected the surgeon." His eyes filled. "I am sorry. I had imagined this apology in my first life. I had imagined falling into his arms instead. I felt the distance between an apology and repair." "I believe you are sorry." I said, "What can I do?" "Do not fix this quietly." His eyebrows drew together. "The board is concerned about institutional damage. The institution was damaged when its systems allowed a doctor to create false notes about his wife. If everything becomes public, patients may lose confidence. They should lose confidence in a system that hides this. I am not suggesting we hide it. You are thinking about controlled disclosure." He was silent. "I knew my father. I will not agree to a private settlement." I said, "You will not offer Nathan a resignation in exchange for silence. You will not allow the hospital to describe this as a domestic incident. He may sue. Then let him. The hospital could face liability. It should." He studied me. "You would expose the institution your mother helped build. I would force it to become worthy of her name." The answer hurt him. It also reached him. He nodded slowly. "I will remain recused and support external oversight." "Yes." "And release the audit findings when legally permitted." "Yes." I am not asking you to choose me because I am your daughter. I know. I am asking you to stop choosing powerful men because believing them is easier. My father closed his eyes when he opened them. He looked older. I will. After he left, I opened the box of recipe cards. My mother's handwriting covered each one. She had underlined ingredients she frequently forgot. On the back of a soup recipe, she had written, "Do not let men with titles convince you they are never frightened." I laughed for the first time in days. Then my phone rang. The number was blocked. I answered without speaking. Yela's voice came through. "I need to meet you. Contact my attorney." "I cannot." "Then we have nothing to discuss. Nathan is going to blame everything on me." "You helped him." I followed his instructions. "You held my wrist." Silence. "I know." "No. You remember knowing would have stopped you." "He said you were unstable." "You read the messages." "He said you would destroy his career if he left." "He was already planning to take my vote." I did not know about the guardianship at first. First, Leia began breathing quickly. "I have a phone he does not know about." "What is on it?" "Messages, voice notes, photographs." "Give it to the investigators." "I need protection." "From whom?" "From him." I almost laughed. "You drugged me with him." And now he says, I stole the medication alone. His attorneys contacted my lawyer this morning. They are offering to support a reduced licensing penalty if I state that I misunderstood his request. "Did you?" "No." The word came out barely above a whisper. "What did he ask you to do?" "Keep you out of the gala." "What else?" "Help build a record." "A record of what?" "That you were becoming dangerous?" My hand tightened around the phone. "You entered notes in my chart." "Not directly." I gave him observations. False observations. He said they would only be used if you tried to remove him from the hospital. "What is on the phone, Leia?" "A voice message from the night. He told me what would happen after the gala." "What would happen?" "You would be placed under observation. He would activate the proxy. Your father would be told you had become dependent on sedatives and I would move into your committee role temporarily." The words were almost identical to the life I remembered. "Why are you telling me now?" "Because he did not love me." I closed my eyes. "Do not mistake me for someone who cares. He loved what I did for him. Now you understand. I thought he would choose me." "He did." She began to cry. "No, he chose himself." That was the first true thing she had said. We arranged for the phone to be transferred through our attorneys and an investigator. The device contained 4 months of messages, photographs from hotel rooms, financial records, draft press statements describing my private mental health crisis, a list of board members. Nathan expected to support his temporary authority. And one voice message, Nathan's voice was calm. "The important part is consistency. If she becomes angry, document agitation. If she asks about us, document fixation. If she refuses medication, document impaired insight. Samuel will not act against his own daughter unless he believes she is sick." "Once he believes that he will let me handle her?" Leia asked. "And after the gala, she stays under observation." "For how long?" "As long as necessary." "What if she fights the guardianship?" "She will sound paranoid." "The chart is already there. And me, you take the patient advocacy seat. You stand beside me at the announcement. When this settles, we stop hiding." Leia laughed softly. "You promise?" "Promise." The recording ended. I sat in my attorney's office and listened to it twice. The second time, I did not hear a husband speaking about a wife. I heard a doctor designing a patient. Patient who could be dismissed. Patient who could be restrained. A patient whose every attempt to escape would prove she needed more control. Naomi stopped the audio. "This changes everything." The board voted to open the final disciplinary session to the public. Nathan fought the decision. His attorneys argued that medical privacy, marital confidentiality, and ongoing criminal review required a closed proceeding. I waived my privacy rights regarding the records he had created. I will not let him hide behind the privacy he violated. I told Naomi the public session was held in the hospital's main education auditorium. Every seat was occupied. Physicians lined the rear wall. Nurses filled the side rows. Former patients, donors, reporters, regulators, and staff watched from an overflow room. My father sat in the audience rather than on the stage. Nathan entered through a side door. He wore a dark suit instead of a white coat without hospital credentials clipped to his chest. He looked less powerful still. When he sat across from me, I felt the old reflex to read his expression. Before choosing my own, marriage had trained me to monitor him. Recovery required me to stop. The board chair opened the session. Nathan's attorney stood first.